Hi everyone, I'm Zana Ryabchuk, Managing Director at Breakthrough Global. Welcome to this Breakthrough Short on decline and suffering in multinationals. In this second part of the Breakthrough Insights Short, I'll take you through my insights on some of the factors that are exacerbating the overload epidemic. These are blocks that you need to remove to tap into your potential. I'll end the short by giving some recommendations on the actions that you can take right now to alleviate decline and suffering that currently exists in your organisation. These actions will help you to grow profit and people by shifting your culture away from overload and into stretch. So let's recap. In part one, I shared with you that 95% of the clients we work with experience overload in the workplace as well as at home. There's an overload epidemic and it's making us less, not more productive, as people live their lives in crisis mode. But there is another way, another lifestyle of fulfillment that brings success. Now, I'd like to explore what's causing so much overload. Failure work is one of the biggest time and money vampires. And at Breakthrough, we define failure work as all of the work that wasn't done right the first time and it needs to be redone, and also all of the needless work and wasted time that doesn't add value. For example, 200-page PowerPoint decks, off-the-cuff requests from senior leaders that lead to unnecessary project work, and of course politics and covering stuff up. Stress and crisis mode are exacerbated by failure work, and it builds a sense of scarcity. So people seek more resources to cope with the overload, resources that are often unavailable. However, because there's no time, people are not coached in performance, they're not given the right skills to cope with new challenges, and they're not given the permission to prioritise with laser focus on items that really add the most value. So what's the solution? We recommend that you take time to work on the collective and individual mindset to make people more resourceful. Resourcefulness is a mindset. It needs to be developed and nurtured. For example, an entrepreneur can have limited resources and they'll still find a way to succeed. And a huge organisation can have enormous resources, yet completely lack success. The paradox is that sometimes you need to go slow to go fast. We believe in more pace and less haste. Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem at the level it's generated. And in fact, sometimes you can't even see a problem at the level it's generated. So as leaders, you need to take white space for yourselves and reflect to build the future. Give your teams more coaching and support. It's amazing, yet by making space for ourselves to slow down, we actually seem to generate more time and we grow more resourceful, generating better results. Now, I'd like to talk to you about potential, your untapped potential. Ask yourself, do you believe you are using all of your potential? Do you believe your team and organisation is reaching their full potential? And do you believe that you could untap just 5% more of that potential? Of course you do, and the result would be huge. Over the past few years, I've worked with several organisations where overload has infiltrated every element of the business. And sadly, I've noticed that this has become more and more common. Even organisations who have strong financial results are struggling with busy being busy, fueled by complacency that's masquerading as high performance. In this second part of my short on decline, I'd like to share an example of a complacent culture that isn't using its potential. So, at this global B2B, results are strong now, but they could be so much greater. There is a high level of detail orientation, with lots of work and people busy being busy. Those 400-page PowerPoint decks are the norm. In spite of financial success, there's a cultural belief that they're constantly in crisis. A high level of expertise means that people are complacent, and it's very hard to challenge the status quo and to raise standards. Decision-making is incredibly slow, but they think that they're fast. They're short-term focused, and there's very little time spent working on building the future. And there are massive quantities of untapped potential that could unleash incredible results for the business. But things are just fine the way that they are around here. Many people are unhappy, and ultimately this complacency and lack of future focus will lead to decline, and the personal suffering is already happening. If anything you've heard was familiar to you, you need to take action now to avoid those pitfalls. Start with your team. Identify where your team is generating failure work. Make a list of the top 3 pieces of failure work that need to be eradicated and estimate a monetary and happiness value for removing them from your lives. Communicate clearly that from now on, starting from today, you no longer want to see these 3 things, and provide playbooks where necessary to short-circuit failure work. So for example, you could explain that from now on, you only want PowerPoint presentations that are 5-page PowerPoint decks, or less, with exactly the information that you want presented to you at your monthly check-in. Next, work on yourself. Identify where you are generating failure work as a leader, and make a list of the top 3 pieces of failure work that need to be eradicated. Again, estimate the monetary and happiness value for removing them from your life. Generate an action plan of what you need to do to remove them from your life, and communicate this plan with anyone that it impacts. So in summary, we know that we can access more of our potential. Failure work and rushing wastes our resources. And so by eradicating failure work, building pace and not haste, and generating a resourceful mindset, we can gain time and produce better results. So identify and eradicate failure work in your day-to-day to build success. Contact me to learn how we work with our clients to generate breakthrough results.